Chapter 9 His Travelogue Part 1 Ruplu's zeal and enthusiasm were born in his genes, and travelling was an important part of his life, be it before the disease or after the disease. Visit to Guwahati. Ruplu's first travel was to Guwahati when he was a month old. It was for the check-up and treatment of his swollen and inflamed left arm due to the insect bite that I had mentioned earlier. Since then a regular visitor to Guwahati, to be at his dear father's home in Rihabari or his dear mother's home in Khanapara. As he grew older and started walking and running about, we preferred visiting the tourist spots in Guwahati. He visited the Assam State Zoo cum Botanical Garden, Srimanta Shankardev Kalakshetra, the Planetarium, and Deepor Bill, to name a few. Among the religious places, he went to offer prayers at Shri Dolgovinda Mandir, Balaji Temple, Ugratara and Vashishta Temple, Lord Shiva and Ganesh Mandir, Navagraha Mandir and Ulubari Mazar. He prayed with utmost sincerity, followed all rituals and every incantation to be hummed. The round scarlet vermilion shone like a sun, bright on his forehead, and he enjoyed every bit of the prasad offered to him. His all-time favourite, first rail-cum-road Saraighat bridge over the mighty Brahmaputra, was an important sightseeing spot for him. For the last time he visited it with his dear Abu. Visit to Diffu. Ruplu's second most visited place was Diffu. Since he was an infant, travelling to his favourite Pompi Mahi and Putumoha's place by train or road was very exciting for him. Journey by car through the lush green trees was too refreshing. Ruplu, Paplu, Raina, Lola, Rian enjoyed each other's company in the rooftop restaurant, Little Dragon, and in the recreation park. There are pictures where Ruplu, a chubby-dubby lad wearing a red and white striped t-shirt, running about in the park, Lola too small to leave her mom's protective hands, and Paplu engrossed in trampolines. Visit to Puri. Ruplu was 3.5 years old when we visited Puri, the coastal town of Orissa. It was Durga Puja and his happiness knew no bounds as it was his first ever flight journey. Excitement grew as his grannies also accompanied us. We took a flight from Guwahati to Kolkata and travelled overnight to Bhubaneswar by Chennai Express and then by cab to Puri. Bhaskar and I had to be vigilant at all times as 2 elderlies and 2 small kids were with us. My mother was very happy as she liked the sea beach and we shared memories of our childhood trip to Puri. We reached Puri at dawn, just when the sun rose in the horizon and oil painted the sky red. Our tangas traversed the Pakka road, the beach on one side and the concrete buildings on the other. Oh, what a breathtaking sight it was! The gallop of the horses, the morning freshness, it was a whole new experience for Paplu and Ruplu. The tangas took us to the beachside hotel, Hotel Samudra. The speciality of the hotel was that the rooms were arranged in a step-ladder pattern so that a good view of the beach could be perceived from each balcony. After a quick shower and breakfast, we rushed to the beach from the backside of the hotel. Photographs helped us to reminiscence about the fun the 2 boys had. Paplu in a red t-shirt and shorts and Ruplu in only his soaking undies. How sweet he looked as he posed and the waves splashed against him. Ma and I were also enthralled by the beauty of the sea. Sunset views were even more fascinating and both brothers relaxed on their beds with binoculars to get a zoomed view of the sails of the boats seen afar. Bhaskar and I relaxed on the balcony as we gazed at the never-ending sea wave splashes, the twinkling of the sun's reflections on the water, the swaying of the palm trees, and crowds of people of all ages bathing in the sea. At night we joined others in merry-making and feasting on the front lawn of the hotel. Dandiya Ras, a socio-religious folk dance of Gujarat performed in the festival of Navaratri, was the main attraction. The following morning we visited Shri Jagarnath temple and the Sun temple of Konak. As the name suggests, the temple was once made to worship the sun god Surya, shaped like a giant chariot. In the Hindu Vedic iconography, Surya is represented as rising in the east and traveling rapidly across the sky in a chariot drawn by 7 horses. It is known for its exquisite stone carvings. The Shri Jagannath temple is an important Hindu temple dedicated to Lord Jagadnath, a form of Lord Vishnu. The Rath Yatra takes place from this temple. Very piously we worshipped and cherished the Prasad in Ruplu's childish words, "Ma diya na muk Prasad, Ma give me Prasad." Visit to Borpeta. Ruplu had visited Borpeta twice, once when he was 3 years old. We stayed in Bhontibaido's house. There is a picture where Sumi, Paplu, Guddu and Bhoku are playing cards, all on one side of the bed, and little Ruplu in grey attire sits cross-legged in the other corner of the bed, chin resting on both hands and looking straight into the camera and smiling. He could not join the elders, so freely he posed for the photo. His second visit was when he was a little bigger. We visited the 514-year-old Borpeta Khotra. It was established by the Vaishnavite saint Shri Madhavdev in 1505. It is also known as the Borpeta Than. The Kirtan Ghar, or the main prayer hall, is situated in the center of the Khotra complex with Sri Guru Ashana and the Akhay Banti, or the lamp, on 2 big gochas, the stands. Ruplu jumped about the serene and clean veranda surrounding the Kirtan Ghar, while Bhaskar and Paplu went in for prayers. In the beautiful, calm and quiet campus, there is a pond with age-old tortoises and few grazing deer inside the wired fencing. We clicked photographs in the vicinity of the grazing deer. Tour to Hyderabad 2007. The National Ophthalmology Conference was held at the International Convention Center, Hyderabad in 2007. Bhaskar was eager to attend it, and we, including Pompi, Puttu and Lola, were also enthusiastic to join him. It was fun to travel with our children, and the weather was quite pleasant in Hyderabad. The wintry winds of February were still blowing, and the scorching sun wasn't in its full glory yet. On the first day we dropped Bhaskar at the venue and went for a drive to High-Tech City. That very evening we spent time in the Lumbini Park adjacent to the Hussain Sagar Lake. Lumbini, the birthplace of Lord Buddha, is a Buddhist pilgrimage in Nepal. The park is dedicated to the Lord. It was a perfect place to relax and for the amusement of our children. The beautifully colored musical fountains glittered the lake with their varied hues as they danced to the enchanting tunes. The laser show projected the history of Hyderabad with its captivating lights. The second visit was to the world-famous Ramoji Film City. It has been certified by the Guinness World Records as the largest studio complex in the world, built by Ramoji Rao, a Telugu film producer. Ruplu and Lola were fascinated by the vintage buses that toured us to the different sites within the film city. The Eco Zone, the Butterfly Park, the Exotic Birds Park, the Ramoji Movie Magic, Action Theatre and Space Yatra Entertainment shows at Eureka, Spirit of Ramoji were the main attractions. Ruplu and Lola loved the Brindavan garden and we were amazed cause it was a replica. The railway platform and the small models of Indian villages impressed us a lot. We went to the Ramoji movie Magic for a little entertainment. A young and beautiful girl was called from the audience to enact the role of Hema Malini, Basanti from Sholay. She was made to sit on a tanga and for a moment we were watching the movie Sholay. We experienced the creation of magical illusion for greater visual impact, the secret behind any blockbuster movie. Later our kids cooled themselves in the splash pad or the spray pool. Bhaskar attended the conference in the afternoon and at night we had a chilling experience of the snow world. It is the world's third biggest and the first snow park in India that snows throughout the year. We were happy and excited cause it was snowing in Hyderabad and our first snow chill. Red and blue snowsuits, gumboots and a warm bowl of soup were provided to us. Slowly we got acclimatized from 20 degrees Celsius to 0 degrees Celsius and finally to sub-zero temperature. The internal area has the cryozone that maintains its temperature at -5 degrees Celsius. Snow flakes fell and we were in the midst of snow, bringing alive the thrill of the South Pole. Ruplu and Lola joined the snowball fight and made a snowman. Paplu posed for a photo inside an igloo and imitated an Eskimo. I had a horrifying experience of snow sledding from a great height. I yelled my lungs out as I slipped down, but none of us understood as to why Putu took a head-down position in the sled, and we feared he might face a head injury. But thank God all went well. Next morning we set out for the 400-year-old Majestic Golkonda fort. It is in India's most outstanding citadel built by the Kakatiya dynasty in the 13th century. Later Muhammad Qutub Shah took over and the fort owes for its present grandeur to him. We were shocked to see several flights of stairs that led to the fort top. We wondered if we could conquer them. What about little Lola and Ruplu? Amazingly, they made it to the top, climbing a total of 365 steps. Only once did we take a break for photography. Baby Lola's stamina surprised us. She never had to be carried by her mom or dad. Indeed, we accomplished the climb and ignored the exhaustion as we were rewarded with a splendid view of the city below. The guide briefed us about the history and made it sound riveting. The architectural valor gleams in the pavilion, gates, domes, halls and apartments. Its magical acoustic system impressed us. The sound of clapping at the entrance can be heard at the Bala Hisar, the highest point almost a kilometer away. This was a means of communication to alert the royal of enemy attack. The guide also whispered onto a wall and it could be heard across a different wall on the other side. The fort was so intricately designed that we could feel the cool breeze blowing inside the fort. Tired though, we trotted down carrying home wonderful memories and knowledge of the fort. The last place of visit was the Charminar, the minarets. The great monument was built by Muhammad Qutub Shah in 1591 to celebrate the end of a deadly plague. Each minaret had 149 narrow winding steps to the top, but only 30 were open for the public. The spirals were difficult to tread, but our little ones managed and were very happy on reaching the top. Visit to Shillong. Ruplu's first visit to Shillong was in 2009. It was a school centenary celebration. Loreto Convent, Shillong, was established in 1909 by 5 Loreto sisters 23 day scholars and 3 boarders. Pompey and I were very excited to attend the celebration, and we made plans to take Ma, Putu, Ruplu and Lola. Both kids enjoyed the twists and turns of the journey uphill to the holiday in the Scotland of the East. Ruplu and Lola were very happy to visit our school, the British-built architecture, space and calmness amidst pine trees. We strolled around the classrooms, dormitories, the chapel, playground, tennis court, and attended the events of the day. 2014. Ruplu was in class 8 when we visited Shillong again. The trip to Charapunji with a dress code on black t-shirts and jeans was a memorable one. The photographs taken were awesome, and in one such picture the 4 of us are under one huge multicolored umbrella. It was drizzling. The Mausmai cave was a major attraction for the 2 brothers. The beautiful lime and sandstone cave was a gateway to another mystic world. Ruplu the adventurer did not care for the limp, but for a while he and Paplu turned into cavemen, exploring the stalactites and the stalagmites. There are 7 wondrous waterfalls in Charapunji. They are sheer beauty cascading down from great heights. We visited the No Kalikai and Wah Kaba falls. For Ruplu it was his first and last splendid experience. At least once in his short lifespan he felt the serenity of nature at its best and could see the magical and mysterious falls. 16/9/2018. His last visit to Shillong was for Kiki and Donna, Punaborta's son and daughter-in-law, their housewarming ceremony. Kiki's house is a beautiful mansion that was once our ancestral home, treasured with age-old memorable moments of the past. Ruplu was enthralled at the glimmering chandeliers, and he gazed at the night sky from the terrace as if he were in a planetarium. Visit to Kaziranga National Park. Ruplu was in the first standard and Lola even smaller when we visited Kaziranga. Ojudada was the DFO of Kohara Range, the main entrance to the world-famous Kaziranga National Park. Dada had booked 2 rooms in a guest house for us to stay the night comfortably. The early morning elephant safari in the central range started from Mihimuk Riding Tower. It is a 1-hour majestic ride through the tall thickets of grassland. Ruplu, well seated in front of me, turned his head to and fro like a pendulum, lest he miss the world-famous one-horned rhino. In the afternoon we set out for the jeep safari at the Bagori range. Ruplu longed for it and his dream came true, but I was scared some wild creatures might attack us as we traversed the dense tropical forest. Paplu and Ruplu stood up with their binoculars to get a closer view of the somber deer grazing carefreely, wild buffaloes, red jungle fowl, pelican, and of course the rhino. 2010. Ruplu again visited Kaziranga when we attended the first Northeast Zonal Conference of ISA, Indian Society of Anesthesiologists. Visit to Tejpur. Ruplu was 2 years old when we visited Tejpur. It was dear Lola's Annaprasanna, and we could never miss such a special occasion. The next visit was to attend the ISA Assam Chapter 2005. In the banquet, Paplu and Ruplu not only enjoyed the food but had fun watching the doctors on the dance floor. Both brothers wondered, those people who would be like bees all day in their white aprons could also boogie. Ruplu's eyes were specially on Nilima Baido, professor of anesthesia. What a spirit Baido had! Later, when we met Baido in a national conference, Ruplu recognized her and said, মা চোৱা বিহু নচা বাইদেউগৰাকী আহিছে. Ma, see, the Baidu who danced Bihu had come. I smiled and said, yes, yes. Following morning, we took our kids to see the Agnigar, the fire fort on a hilltop, from where one can get a splendid view of Tejpur town and the river Brahmaputra. The next tourist spot was the Chitralekha Udyan, popularly known as Coal Park. Ruplu was always fascinated by water, so we straightaway went rowing in the lake. From the scenic park, the Podumpukhuri or Lotus Pond could be seen. The night view of the Kolia-Bhumura bridge that connects Sonitpur and Nagaon is worth seeing. Poo once again visited Tejpur to attend Rija, Bhontibaido's daughter's marriage ceremony. Visit to Jorhat and Sipsagar. In Jorhat, we stayed at Hotel Paradise and made a short visit to Tunumami and Rishi's, that is Paplu's friend's house. From Jorhat, we made a trip to the historical place Sipsagar to see the Ahom architecture and monuments. Ronghor is a two-storied building that once served as a royal sports pavilion. It was the first amphitheater in Asia. Karanghar, the royal palace of the Ahom kings, is a 7-storied structure made of wood and stones. Tolatal Khor is the largest of the Thai Ahom monuments located in Rangpur. It has 2 secret tunnels and 3 floors below the ground used to exit route during the war. For Paplu and Ruplu, history was right in front of their eyes. They were highly impressed and awestruck. Okay, dear friends, here I end the part 1 of Travelogue. Thank you for listening to Rishabh's Travelogue. Meet you again in the next episode with more of his travel diary. Till then, stay safe, stay fit, take care.